But what happens now? What are we supposed to do after the internet remembers everything you said, right? After it remembers how you dogged men on your way out. We are very fond on this channel of saying, be with whomever you want to be with, right? That's fair. Because everyone would be upset if you got to tell them who you wanted to be with. They would be upset. They would say, you have no right to ask any of this. You have no right to put your business in my business. Keep your stuff over there, and I'll keep my stuff over here.
It sounds good.
We understand that. We get that. But what happens now when tables sort of turn and we kind of watch the downfall of things play out? When we see what happens at the end of the game, because the internet doesn't forgive, the internet doesn't forget. What else are the rest of us supposed to do when we see stuff like that? When you come back, and this is the case of this young woman who was killed in Tanzania, under circumstances that anyone would find quite suspicious, quite alarming. And I think it's a fine thing that they're actually taking it seriously and they're starting to investigate. That should always happen. Us in America, we're very partial to anything revolving around Black people and hanging. That's a big no-no. It doesn't matter what you say happened, how you say it shook loose. We want to know. We want to investigate. We want to get to the bottom of stuff. That's a normal response. What isn't normal is the way where we find ourselves today with the advent of the internet and how it does not forget. I would always remember. But right now, we're remembering a lot of things she said about Black men. It's okay. You're entitled to do that. We don't have a moratorium saying that you can and cannot do things like this. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed to say what you want to say. Check. Got that. Fine. In turn, people are allowed to feel the same way they feel about you. They're allowed to have their own conversations about you, and they're allowed to also critique you. It's part about being a content creator, especially I try to have it in different levels. Say there's a content creator, then there's influencer. Influencers paid, they have brand deals. They're paid to push a certain message. They're paid to influence. We all understand that influencers should have a responsibility towards the greater good, but it is the internet. It is democratized. You get to say what you want to say. You get to be who you want to be. The rest of us have to sit back and say, wow, okay.
It sounds good.
Fine. There's not much we can do about that. There's not much we can say. There's not much we can do to correct that. You get to push whatever messages you want, but you also have to accept the consequences of that when you start to alienate people you would want in your corner, people you would want paying attention to you. That's a natural thing. The internet is very difficult. Right? Anyone that tells you it's not is not living in this very, very big world where we see how it actually works. You can say one thing, you can support men over here, and then women have an issue with what you're saying. Or some men have issue with what you're saying, or some women support what you're saying. No one's ever going to completely agree with you, and no one really should. That's not a normal thing to say. That's not a normal thing to have. This channel has plenty of people that do. And as long as it's done in a mature, healthy way, I'll welcome the argument. Sometimes people feel like, hey, I'm going to say this and I'm going to write this entire 3, 4, 5, 6, 16 paragraph thing. No. I know some people are doing things simply because they want a response. And when you want a response, it's the last thing people want to give you. People that are smart about it. But some people live off the back and forth. They'll antagonize you so you can now respond in kind. She did that. Ashley Jenae did that on a couple of posts. Not uncommon that we see in Black community. The tit, the tap, the sniping, the back and forth. Normal thing. Okay, we accept that. One of the other things we just have to sit there and accept. This is what happens. This is how it's going to go. Okay, cool. Now we have this tragic situation, and I think it's fine to say, call it as tragic. Doesn't matter if you don't like or you don't agree with it. That person had a family, that person had a purpose, that person was a person. Any Black person suspected of getting hung out, I'm going to feel for you just because historically how awful it is. The caveat behind this is now there's a wrinkle that, hey, part of the swirler community, part of the investor community, saying, hey, these black men, every day they wake up with a new way to find a new way to embarrass us. What we sometimes forget is that people listen and people record, and the internet's the closest thing to God it ever gets. Especially when you're not actually pruning your own tweets and your own conversations. It's there for the taking. But this happens. There's a bit of short and pride going on with people just saying, oh, that's what you kind of get. That's what you kind of deserve. You went with this white man. What did you think was going to happen? As if there is one race has, has the patent on shitty behavior. No, right? No. But I think this thing cuts both ways when we sometimes run to another race and think that things are always going to be better. Forgetting that no matter the color, the melanin content of your skin, we're all shitty people, right? We're all shitty humans. We can be shitty. No need for us to be that boy, but go into these things with your eyes wide open. One of the things we're very fond of on this channel is saying, when you leave, when you exit out and you decide, I'm going to go and date someone else somewhere else outside this race, you don't have to shit on people on your way out. You can just say, hey, this was what I wanted to do. This was good for me. I hope you guys find your person. We can all, I think we all can respect that, or it helps us call out when people who disagree with that sort of behavior. You look kind of silly. You look kind of foolish. How can you not understand that someone's just trying to do the same thing you're trying to do? They're trying to find their person. They're trying to find happiness. And you want to call it out because they don't look the same way you do? We could see that foolishness, and we say we can acknowledge that. But it's hard to do that when all you do is criticize, when all you do is shoot down black men. Cool. You're right. It's your prerogative. It's your channel. It's your page. You get to say the things you want. People also are going to be awful in turn when you are in danger, when you are distressed. It rings sort of hollow when your family is asking the same people that you may have denigrated to say, hey, donate to this fund. Now, do I think people should be on there and making light of this, making fun of it? No. But I think we need to have some sort of grace on both sides and saying, the more you shit on a particular group, the more you can count on them to kind of want your downfall, to be looking for it, to be expecting it, to be hoping for it to happen. And when it does, kind of have to eat that. Now, let's get on record, right, Crow? Let's get on record and say, no, I absolutely hope they find out what's happening there. We'll go into detail later on, and let's talk about it, about the details of this thing. We can go there and sit there and look into a lot of this, try to find out what is actually happening here. Who did what, when did it happen?
Let me know if that sound, that the audio fixed right there. I think that should have toggled it right on. When we see stuff like this, when we're going to get into it and let's talk about it, what actually happened. Right? Muhammad, shout out to you guys. That quick check. So yeah, we're going to see what happens, what the details are, and what we can sort of parse out and see what made sense, what doesn't make sense, what is real, what isn't real. We can go into a lot of this stuff and think about what the difference is. And I've had two or three conversations about this just today. I try to do with most of the live stream topics. What is actually going on in these scenarios? What is real, what is not? And what's the difference between things that we get kind of used to seeing in the United States and how policing sort of works? Now, the difference, what we want to talk about on the stream isn't about, well, you divested, so you have to sort of eat this. We wanted to have a more nuanced take on some of these conversations. What's happening? Should we, as black men who were shitted on, should we now put that to the side and say, well, let's still show up and represent? Because the conversations on both sides, from men and women, are coming around and saying, hey, no, I can't really get behind this. I can't support this. It's not just a one-sided, one-gender thing. Both people are looking and saying, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. This doesn't feel right. I don't like the cut of this. And you kind of have to lie in the bed that you made. especially when it is in a different zip code from the rest of us. But enough about that. Let's also talk just about a bit of housekeeping real quick. If you're new here to the channel, subscribe to the channel. That's what we're doing these for, right? To get the back and forth, to get the exchanges, to actually where we can see stuff that's going on in the chat. I can respond to you guys rather than trying to comment on some of the things that you guys say in some of the videos. The videos, we're still trying to do 2 a day, and it is a lot of work as we try to make small improvements. Those small improvements often take a lot of time. But the very first video we started this channel with, it was about discipline. So we want to go a year of having 2 videos a day, and then we added 2 shorts a day, and then sometimes we throw extra shorts. But it's all part of it. It's all part of what we're supposed to be doing. Be an example, protect the brand. This is what it looks like. You showing up and doing the work again and again and again and again and again. That's always been the name of the game. That's the only thing that's really going to see you through any sort of thing. And if you can look at this and say, hey, this guy did it, this random guy on YouTube decided to take a crack at it, and this is what he did. This is what he pushed. Use that, right? Maybe not just for YouTube, but for some other thing that you're looking to do, some other concept, some other program, or some other project you're looking to do. Use it, right? In the meantime, hype the video, share the video, like the stream, right? Things like this help YouTube say, hey, maybe we should give him a little more pull, a little more play. And I understand your attention. Your attention is valuable. Attention is not free. And I thank you guys for showing up here week after week to have the conversation. That's what we're trying to do here. That's what we're trying to do tonight. So again, if you feel so free to donate, super chats are always there. You can see right on the bottom of the screen right there, how you can Cash App and Venmo, all the good things, right? But that being said, for those of you new here, we're going to do love and money, right? We have concepts, videos talking about that. We're talking about that. Then crashing out, agree or disagree. And then we're going to get to the main event talk, and let's talk about it. For now, love and money. All right. So we made some changes. Again, like most of the changes that happen on the channel, they are internal. They're supposed to make things a little easier, and they end up revealing some mistakes in, hey, I want to streamline this, and in streamlining it, I make it more complicated. But we'll get it. We get it sorted, right? In a couple of years, we're gonna be masters at this. Maybe we do this from my bedroom. Until then, right? Happy tax day, right? Definitely, if there was more of an oxymoronic thing that's been said, is taxes and happy. Right? I was just sharing a story when I was younger about how this. I used to go to this guy for taxes. Everyone in TSA, in my little group, my little cohort, they did. And I think 5 years later, he went to prison for tax, tax fraud, tax evasion. So, black dude too, right? You don't really see us doing those type of things, but I remember one time I'm going to him and like giving him a W-2, right? And that's all I had, a W-2, living at home with my parents. And he was saying, hey, why don't you claim this first time home buyer's credit? And he's like, your return would go from like $3,000 to like 15. And I'm looking at him like, but I haven't bought a house. He just gave me this look, was like, meh, right? Meh. Not the most important thing. Needless to say, I did not do that. And then I think 2-3 years later, we all got the news that he was in prison. So with that being said, sometimes we're going to hear people try to make sense of dating today using analogies that absolutely do not make any sense. They don't. But I found this one, and you can tell me down in the chat if this makes sense to you, what she's saying, likening dating to the IRS. Let's talk about it.
If the IRS came knocking on your door and was like, hey, you didn't pay your taxes this year, you're not going to say, oh, well, you didn't remind me, I forgot. No, you know damn well that shit will not fly until you just do it. And so if it's not something you would do with the IRS, why is it something that you would do with your wife? A lot of men think, well, she's the aggressor, she's the one that criticizes me, so she's the one ruining the relationship. But so are you. Every time that you choose comfort over initiative, every time you choose to listen to your resentment, and you're like, oh, well, she was mean to me yesterday, so I'm not going to do the thing that I told her I was going to do. That is you not prioritizing your wife. That is you not choosing your relationship. And that is as equally as damaging as her criticisms. It's not your fault, but you were just as much the culprit for letting your relationship become something that also fucking sucks for you.
Equally as dangerous as not paying the IRS. Blair, shout out to you. That's a classic New York greeting for those of you that do not know. But again, likening not paying the IRS or likening your relationship or likening your partner to the IRS, who you will bend the knee and make sure they do not continue to harass you, make it seem like it's the same thing. And it can't be further from the truth. The IRS takes your money and uses your money for what it was and comes in as a regulatory body in which you actually have to pay money to fight. Your relationship, the person you're being with, should not be likened to the IRS. One of the big things that I think that annoys a lot of people, annoys a lot of men specifically, is the idea that because in a relationship, in a marriage, in whatever thing you've got going on, because you tell me to do something now, hey, I need you to do this, that somehow takes precedent over everything I've got going on. No, we're in this together. I have my own schedule. I have my own lineup of things that I got to get done. But because you want it done right now, somehow I'm supposed to drop everything immediately and take care of this. Men kind of find this repugnant. We understand what's happening here on a baser level. You were saying that what you've got going on in your life, your schedule, what's important to you, in your purview, in your mind, is of the utmost. It doesn't matter what you got going on. Doesn't matter that you're sitting there resting. Doesn't matter that you work 10, 12, whatever hours. Doesn't matter that it's your day off. Here's the honey-do list. Here's a list of stuff that you got to get done right now. And if you don't do it in a timely fashion that I said, then something's wrong with you. You don't value me. You don't value the relationship. We got to put a pause on this. We got to put a pause and says, listen, these are things I've got going on. And part of that sometimes is just, becoming a vegetable on the couch, because I've kind of earned that right to do that. You need me to do things, then understand that it's specifically, you need me to do these things because I'm better at it. You need the help, not just because you told me to do it when you wanted it done. That shouldn't be. I'm not your child, right? I'm not your child, nor, more importantly, nor am I your employee. You need something done. Hey, give me whatever you need, but understand it's going to be a timely list dependent on my own time, not yours. And if that is like I don't know where or why this seems to be a very, very regular thing in a lot of relationships. And shout out to the internet for coming together and letting men know, like, hey, this happens to you. Yeah, me too. So that's very strange, right? That we all seem to share the same issue. The same thing happens again and again and again and again with all of us. But on a lighter note, on a funnier note, right? Not all relationships are just about, not all marriages just involve the wife and the husband. Sometimes there's a little thing on the side, right? This is a little quick warning to men. If you're going to go out and do your thing on the side, understand that you give up leverage to that person, especially when you keep it a secret. If you're going to cheat, right? And we're not condoning it here, right? But we're being real for a second. You better cheat with someone who has something to lose. Otherwise, they got you by the short and curlies, and you kind of have to adhere to whatever else they have going on. Let's take a look at this one.
Okay, so here's the thing. I said I wasn't going to do this, but some people just they ass need to be put on blast. You've been paying my car note for over the last year and a half, and you get mad in your feelings. You know what we got going on. You're whole married, and I'm about to expose your ass if my car note do not get paid. Now you not answering the phone. Don't make me go here. Don't make me go here, because I will. So, hopefully you see this message, because I know you be following my page. Let that note not get paid by Friday. Let it not get paid. Your wife, your kids, and your career be over with. Try me if you want to.
Yeah, you heard her. You got to pay that note. Pay that note because you know what we got going on. And I'm going to blow up the entirety of your relationship and your status. I'll understand something, right, about negotiating with terrorism. The United States doesn't do it for a reason. Right? They don't do it for a reason. This is not the way to go. This is not the idea. This is not how you're going to actually get anything done because it never ends with that one threat. It's a renewable source. It's a renewable source. You can go it again and again and again and again. So listen, for men, you got to be smart about this, right? You got to be smart about this. Now, let's play this out, right? Like adults, like well-functioning, thinking adults. Do you think that's going to get your car note paid? Because, the internet is not a quiet, singular place. The internet is a place where everyone gets to see what you're talking about at any given point in time. So that's going to make its way to all the appropriate parties that it needs to. You're not an unknown quantity for a lot of people. So he'll know. The kids will know. The wife will know. And you'll still have a car note that you need to pay on your own. It's a weird flex. But if we can, if we can, tease out the girls a little bit, you guys, often mess with married people in relationship, people that are unavailable. Yet the official slogan is like, no, these men are the dogs. Can we get a little bit of shared accountability saying you knew he was married? You knew what his situation was. You don't get to benefit from intense, incredible intuition on one hand, and then also don't forget the FBI level detective work on the other hand, and then just say, "Oh crap, I didn't know." No, she knows exactly what she's doing. Right now, you have the audacity to bribe them. Kudos to you, full marks for you for playing it like this. But what happens when that car just sitting there plumb on fire in the middle of your driveway? What then? Or he comes and says, you paid on your own. You blew up my thing. What? Can we stop for a moment and think, is this going to lead me to the conclusion that I'm looking for? If not, why are we doing it? Why are we loyal to inefficiency? But again, you find yourself in a situation. It's not something that I would recommend you actually show up in. But if you're looking for your husband, if you're looking for a significant other, this is probably not the way to do it. Also, there's other opinions about where you're supposed to find your significant other. And like we know, Coachella is what happened recently. And one woman saying that, she's not going to find a husband at Coachella. Yet she was at Coachella. So we're a little confused, but hopefully you guys can help me figure this one out.
My friend was like, maybe you'll meet your husband at Coachella. I was like, I'm not marrying a man who's in his 30s, rolling in the desert with his chest exposed, trying to get a better peep at Sabrina Carpenter. My husband is in an office. He's wearing a closed button down and he's chasing the markets. We have bills to pay. We have children to send to college. I can't have him dilly-dallying in a field while he's approaching middle age. So if I do meet my husband at Coachella, he is in trouble.
Yeah, that's an issue. That dilly-dallying in field, rather than saying, hey, if you're out here enjoying yourself, you can do both things. But when we talk about sometimes about where you're supposed to find your significant other, where you're supposed to find your person, that we have the idea that you have to be there as well. You have to show up. You have to be in that environment for that person to look at you and choose you. But if you're the type that says you're going to have to do all the legwork, you're going to have to do all the heavy lifting, do we understand at this point that we know that doesn't work? Do we understand at this point that we know that doesn't work? Where if men aren't signing up in droves, successful men are not signing up in droves, simply to show up and say, okay, cool, I'm going to provide this grand life for you and I'm not going to get a thing out of it. Or I'm not going to ask you, what am I supposed to get out of this thing? Those days have passed when men were walking around, especially successful men, especially to become a successful man in this day and age and how we determine success. You have to do so much work. Part of that work is internal work, is realizing where you are, what your state in the world is. You've done the work. You've realized who you are. You've become the guy, the man. Why do you think you suddenly just be hoodwinked by someone saying, "Hey, I'm in your face now"? And I was at Coachella and I had a great time, but you were chasing the markets. We'll be a phenomenal, phenomenal catch. We'll be a phenomenal team together. In on that note, right? And let's get serious. On that note, when do we start with this idea of team partner? I get it. It sounds good, right? For those you know me in real life, you know I love that sound. It sounds good. Why do you think men want why would you think men want a partner? Like a teammate, someone of equal standing, equal footing that did not do an equal amount of the work or is not on equal standing or equal footing as them. Why do we have that idea? Like, I want you to be completely equal to me. This equality idea. That's not really how men move. Men are very hierarchical. We like to understand that this is my place in the world. And in order for me to advance that place, in order for me to get better for this place, I'm going to have to do some work. I'm going to have to put in the work. I don't just get to show up, turn around and say, here, this is what I deserve. I haven't earned it. I haven't worked for it. We don't move like that. We certainly don't look for those things in our partner. I think a lot of this confusion is because, again, we say this all the time on the channel. You don't really understand men. So you default to what you understand yourself, how you move, how you think, how you interpret and interact with the world. And naturally, everyone thinks like you. But men are radically different you in that sort of thought process. We're not looking for partner. We're not looking for someone to come and say, hey, a partner shares the load. Partner puts in 50%. Remember, you don't want the 50%. You're on record saying, I don't want the 50%. I want him to do the majority. So think about the last idea you had, the last thing you did that was a hell of a success. Do you want someone that you just met a month or two ago, 3 months ago, a year ago, come and share in the totality of all your success? That's a partner. You want to elevate that person to partner when really they're an employee. You built this company. Here comes someone that says, hey, sign on this dotted line. You should recognize that I'm going to be a partner. But when we ask you, what do you bring to this partnership? What do you bring to the table? It's met with a lot of vitriol, a lot of just like, no. Now, I say all this to say that men are not dumb. Men have woken up and they're looking at this for what it is and saying, this is a bad deal. It's not something I'm looking to get. It's not like something I'm looking to walk into. And until we wake up and look at that and realize that a lot of men are not moving like this, what are you supposed to do? What is the thought process? We're just going to continue to, and this is, I'm proud of this. I'm happy about this. Men are just saying, hey, I don't want that either. As much as we see content where women are saying, I don't want to be married, what's the point in getting married? The men aren't yelling and clamoring saying, no, you should. Even though women are saying, the men are so upset that women are choosing themselves and not to get married. No, we're not. We're not. The thing that I think is upsetting about men is when you taken vows with a person and that person did nothing wrong and you simply blow that up because it feels good. It sounds good. I'm finding myself and I realize that this relationship, this marriage is not what I wanted. I never wanted it. This is so stifling for me. Okay. We want you to do all that thinking and inkling and feeling ahead of the time so you don't ruin something that we built together, especially when kids get involved, especially when you get to leave conveniently with a whole bunch of resources. That's what men are sort of upset with. If you feel like this, you know ahead of time you don't want to get married, great, fantastic. No one is going to come and kick down your door and try to convince you otherwise that, hey, you should. Well, no one on this channel. I don't know what the ultra conservatives are doing over there, trying to say that this is what you need to do. But no, here we're fine. No, if you don't want to participate in the dating game, you don't want to get married, but you do want to date, cool, you can find a place very easily. If you want those things, you want the totality of those things, people just want to say, yo, take those vows seriously, that you want to do this. And yes, thing goes wrong. Things go wrong all the time. Things blow up. People change. If you're getting out for right reasons, more power to you. Be safe, right? Be safe, be happy, find what you need in life. But for those that are constantly creating more and more content saying, I just didn't feel like it. I had to find myself. Okay, but it's at the behest of how many different lives that you had to blow up, you had to implode to make that happen. This is what really men are upset about, right? This is really what men end up crashing out over.
I got and a rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, I've been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, I've been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, I've been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. Got 100K on my wrist and my.
So listen, right? Crashing out. One of the favorites. The first one we have is not really just about, relationships, even though that's an easy one. People crash out, and we know people crash out often over, when it comes down to money. When you fail to pay what you owe, now we're gonna have problems. Now we're gonna have issues. Now we have things that we need to talk about. With things that, I need to see you. I'm worrying about where my money is. Right? And and sometimes it's probably one of the easiest ways to ruin relationships, ruin friendships. When it comes down to no one's paying up, no one's showing up with that actual money. Right, let's talk about it.
Yo, I am sick of niggas. I'm officially sick of niggas. Like, everybody think you owe them something. Like, it's getting out of hand. So this nigga I'm cool with asked me, yo, bro, you got 25 on Cash App? Mind you, like a couple days earlier, I literally said, anybody that want a PS5, I'm finna sell this bitch. I'm struggling. So he know the circumstances right now, bro. I said, nigga, I know you seen this. I'm broke as a bitch right now. Valid response from a broke nigga. Like, I don't have no money right now, bro. I'm in between jobs, bro. This nigga said, nigga, I will kill you. Send me my 25. Yo, Tim. I said, Tim, nigga, I gotta die cause I'm broke? Are you serious? Nigga, we know shit that says kindergarten. You finna kill me for 25? Then he got the nerve to say, oh my granny, you fake as fuck. Nigga, didn't you fight your grandma? And then he said, next time I see you, I'm popping your ass. Oh my God! You trying to pop me, nigga? How about we come together and figure out a way to get this 25, nigga? We both broke, obviously. I said, nigga, ask your granny for $25. This is outrageous. Then he gonna send me this shit. Now, this was uncalled for. This was unneeded, bro.
Listen, when your sleep cycle is terrible, right? Shut your fat ass up. Listen, I mean, I'm hoping a lot of this is just you guys are having fun. This is how you guys have fun. But if it's not, yeah, you and Tim got issues. Right? You get the issues. I'd find a way to pay that man that 25. I'd find that way. This is just like it's a safer position for you to occupy because one of you is in desperate straits and one of you is just broke between jobs. I know which place I'd rather be, but listen, that's me. But okay, for all the crash outs, sometimes when stuff is happening to you, this is for the men, this is for the fellas, right? This is a quick lesson. When you're being visited upon by a crash out, right? i.e. a woman. And we know sometimes because it's difficult for them to physically crash out on you, but it's very easy for them to do it on your property. Right? Here's the thing. I'm going to say this. It might be unpopular, especially in the Black community. Okay? And if it is, if you don't like it, I'm going to tell you tough. Call the cops. Call the cops. That's it. Call the cops. Don't sit here and try to do everything else under the sun. Call the cops. Right? That's what they're there for. One of the things they say in the Black community, we don't call the cops enough. You bashing in the roof of my R8. I'm calling the cops. I'm not running and grabbing you and trying to yoke you. I'm calling the cops. Right? I'm pressing charges. I'm gonna sue you, right? And your entire family. I'm gonna take a playbook out of other races. I'm gonna sue you. That's it. You can say, oh no, I can't believe you did this. I'm calling the cops, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, the camera's definitely out. Camera is definitely out because we don't believe you that this ever happened to you. Not this innocent woman. She never did anything to any person in her life. It was all you, my friend. It was all you all the time.
What's up, bitch? You fucking Oh my god.
You wanna do that stupid ass shit? What the fuck is wrong with you, bitch? You think I knew? What's up? What? Yes, the fuck they forbid you. They fucking you, bitch. They fucking you, bitch. Don't play with me. Hey, motherfucker, don't fucking touch me. Don't fucking touch me. Don't fucking.
Jazz remembers that. If you, I know you watch the Boondocks, right? It reminds me of that scene with Thug Different. What did he do to make them niggas so mad? But listen, real talk, real quick, right? Real quick. Does it matter what he did? Does it matter what he did? What would he have to do that justifies that sort of behavior? Even if he cheated on you, what would that do to justify that behavior? I'm a firm believer, the best thing you can do, the smoothest thing you can do, right, is just like, yo, I'm out. Yeah. This is definitely a famous one.
Oh my gosh.
So you're with her? My ex.
This got to be a lesson in how to remain calm. Enjoy your meal.
That's normal. I just got it too. Right, you. Yeah.
Okay, you press charges.
Why are you putting hands on me?
Did you press charges, man?
No.
Exactly. You need to come out and step out with us, please.
No, she's not going nowhere.
She needs to come out with us right now. Do not close the door.
I'm gonna close the door because she's not going nowhere.
Step out the house.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Listen, here's something I'm curious about. It's something I'm really curious about. Do we not understand that you can't really just turtle up? Effectively, you closing the door is like the monsters coming from under the bed, from the closet, and you just put the sheets over your head. Like the cops, they have that in procedure. I'm writing up the report. Yeah, man, she just closed the door. I told her she can't do that. She's got to come outside. I got to arrest her, and she just closed the door. So I went home. I clocked out. Do we think that the captain's going to look at that and say, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we'll do that. We're fine with that. We're fine with that. I see nothing wrong or nothing else you could have possibly done. 5 seconds,
man. Step out. We were trying to make this easy for you. So either you step out the house or we go in there.
You're not
You
coming
can't.
anywhere.
Where's the warrant?
Nah, you can't come in.
Okay, I could go by myself.
Don't put your hands on me, bro. She's not going nowhere.
Hey, you got a part?
JD, run!
Stay back.
I'm not staying. JD, run!
I'm one of those people I really enjoy when people get the comeuppance, when you actually run afoul of the police or you do something that determines that you should be arrested. I really like when you actually get arrested. I like that. You need to see them pay. Yeah. You need. Yeah, I get that. I guess you're the girl's girl. You gotta fly that flag. Right? You gotta fly that flag. Yeah. No, I'm not going. And then we're all just looking like, we know if you had the same sort of look as I do, right? Of the melanin sort of rarity. The taser would have been out. At least the taser would have been out. Or a couple of different squad cars would have rolled up in there and said, hey, we're going to make you go. Even sometimes when I'm being cooperative, I'm ready to go. They're like, nah, I heard something else. This is gonna go poorly for you. Either way you like it, either way, this is gonna go poorly for you. But yeah, I may have a thing about liking seeing some of these things happen online when people just say I'm above the law because this is my gender. But on the other hand, we see a lot of, right, and I'm saying personally, I get to see a lot of performative stuff that happens on the internet a lot of the times. Oh yeah, Jazz, yeah, definitely. Too many times. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one, even though this one is bright yellow and completely shaped differently. And now, he's got holes in him, right? I shot a bunch of heated metal, at the tip of a combustion explosion that hurtled something past the speed of sound right into his chest. My bad, right? And then that's definitely when the captain says, you're good with me. You're absolutely good with me. Carry on, sir. In fact, At worst, here's administrative leave, but make sure we're going to pay you. So listen, crash outs like that, we understand it. We get that. But when I'm sifting through stuff on the internet, right? When I'm doing all what I can do, or having to assault charges, we can't, right? It's a woman, right? It's, if you ever take the time and you look at the data for the same crimes and how we are hyper lenient on women when it comes to committing the same crimes. But, people never attribute things like that to the patriarchy and say, this is one of the things that we should be thankful for, that women are given more grace in a lot of these scenarios. I say, yeah, down with it. Get rid of it. Just do it. Right? Throw a book at them. Like, say, treat everyone like you treat black people, especially black men, young black men. Treat them all the same. Throw the book at them. Right? You fear every time you're driving your car. If not, everything's not up to date. It could be, the window could be busted out and someone pull you out the car. Treat everyone the same way now. If you can't seem to treat black people better, just treat everyone like black people. Didn't Key and Peele have a skit like that? Or was it Chappelle show? Chappelle had a skit like that, where a white guy was being treated like a black man, and I think Tron was being treated like a white man. Where they're saying, "Hey, do you think you can come in and turn yourself in at this time?" It's like, I got some trim coming over. Can you do these hours? And they're like, "Yeah, fine." We get that, right? But again, back to a lot of times when I'm sifting through content, a lot of stuff comes across as being completely performative. And I don't think people understand, outside of getting clicks and views, how detrimental some of this stuff looks like. How we look at it and how we interpret it, and we just say, "Yo, we're kind of just fatigued." And I think fatigued would be an appropriate word for this one.
Sorry, I heard some of y'all didn't get the memo, so I'm here to just, reiterate it. These niggas are narcissists! Run! Run for your life! They're trying to take your life! It's you! They're vampires! They're fucking vampires! Run! Oh my god, the devil's in your house! Run!
Are you not tired of that? Are you not just tired of stuff like that? Like, how bad is it? Right? We're out here pretending like, yeah. I apologize for jump scare. I should have thought you. I should have let you guys know ahead of time. I apologize for that. Like I said, I look at that and I found that video early on. I saved it months ago. And I was just like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of this performative nature where you're screaming at the camera to demonstrate how awful men are in your life. And it's like, can it be? And I'm often reminded from conversations with people that this is not my life, right? That what's going on with them is not my life. So maybe this is real to them. Maybe it's that bad for them. If it's that bad for you, subscribe to the channel, by the way. Shameless plug. If things are that bad, then just one of the things, find an island somewhere, move somewhere like that. Join a covenant, something. But it can't be that bad. But when you, and this is the crux of it. We're going to wax a little bit poetic about this for a second. When you move like that, when you feel like this is fine to say, when it's fine to get online and dog out men, dog out people that you never met, and it becomes a conversation of all men are this, all men are blah, blah, blah. They're vampires, they're this, they're that. What do you think happens? Right? What do you think happens? I'll tell you. The good men that probably could have done right by you, that would have done right by you, I think there's more majority of them than there's not. They see that, and what do they say? They feel they're empathetic towards you. And they say, okay, I'll back off. I'll leave you and everyone that looks like you, hey, just to be safe. I'll leave you guys be. I'll let you rock out. I'll let you do what you got to do. I'll let you find your peace, your sanity, wherever it is. I'm convinced a large part of why you don't have men approaching you in the wild at bars, giving up their seats on trains, because the message has been loud and clear. It's been received. Leave me alone. Okay, we'll leave you alone. It's safer for you, right? Then you came out and justified the nonsense that said, I'm going to choose the bear. without ever looking at an actual bear, a video of a bear mauling the shit out of something. But you think that the average person, the average male you meet has bad intentions towards you. We're not that important. That's the rub. That's the big message. I may have an inflated sense of ego, but I don't think the rest of the world shares that. I know the rest of the world doesn't share that. I know the rest of the world doesn't really give a shit about what I'm saying right now versus the people that showed up to talk about it with me. I'm not that important. I'm not that big. I'm not bigger than the program. So to think that I'd be randomly in the woods with you and you'd have to fear me, I don't care about you. That's the open secret. I don't care about you. I'm not so in lust that because we're in the woods alone, I'm going to push myself upon you. The bear would. Not sexually, right? Not sexually. And simply because you may be a threat. You may be dinner. You may have looked at him the wrong way. Bear's nature is bear's nature. But to think that, yeah, all these men out here are narcissists, all these men are trying to do, all these men are wishing you the worst thing that ever happened in your life. You're just not as important as you think you are. Now, I know what you're going to do, what the conversation usually devolves into. Look at these statistics of what's happening. You think that if that were true, and they'll say something as, credulous as 1 in 4, you've been around 5 men before and nothing's ever happened to you. If you want to hold argently to those statistics and you want to misinterpret what it means, you've been around 10 men and no one did anything to you. You've seen them on a subway, you've seen them at work, you've seen them at a grocery store, you've seen them out jogging, out workout, in the gym. Nothing happened. You've been in college with a bunch of these people. Nothing happened. You want to take data, you don't want to think for yourself, and then you get to say stuff like this. You have a couple bad, failed relationships, but they're narcissists. How? When we abandon critical thinking, this is where we find ourselves. Again and 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 again. And one more again. But listen, you don't really have to, agree with what I got to say. You're fine disagreeing. We'll get to that. To those of you that have been here time and time again, one of the scenes I love about Peaky Blinders, whatever, when they spit on the hands and they shake, and that solidifies whatever it's saying. I like that. But that's an agree and disagree now. Right? It's classy. Right? Bring that back. They come on the internet and scream that crazy stuff to entertain themselves, triggering the men, makes them hey, listen, if that is, I'm sure there's a section on that on P-Hub where people get off on that type of behavior. So, agree or disagree. For those new here, again, subscribe to the channel, like the stream. This is how we let the good old internet let the algorithm know, hey, we're here to stay. We're here. We're doing our thing. We're doing a live stream. We're being pretty good about doing 2 a week. So the next one's going to be on Sunday. And for those of you who want a little sneak peek, it's definitely about girls, right? So Jasmine, this one is your stream, right? Where we're just going to critique your entire life and say, these are what Jasmine's done wrong with our entire life. No, but it's about the dangers of simply agreeing with being a girl's girl. So don't miss that one. If you're new here, again, subscribe to the channel, right? Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about it, Jasmine, right? You'll enjoy it, right? It'll be good. Hopefully you're not working. You can actually tune in for that and we can, again, dissect your life. But agree or disagree. So we've got some clips. We want to see your point of view. It's the last one before we go into the main event and we'll talk about that. But for now, one of the questions or one of the biggest issues that we see today is about trying to mix families or getting with someone that's already have kids. Discipline becomes one of the greatest questions. How does this kid get disciplined? Can I discipline a child? When I try, what is the reaction? And if I'm supposed to be the father figure and I'm trying to discipline the child, and then you disagree or you nullify say thing, do I need to continue to pretend to be a father, or is it fine for me to just kind of relinquish that role? You get to decide. That's what we're trying to do. Agree or disagree.
Am I the asshole for checking out of parental duties after my wife said I'm not the father? My wife and I have been married for about 4 years. She brought 3 kids from previous relationships into the marriage while I have none. They moved into my house after the marriage because I live in a better school district. Obviously, we've had our ups and downs, but overall, it's been good until a couple of weeks ago when I woke up and found a large dent running down the entire passenger side of my car.
Uh-oh.
The dent is about a hand's wide, starts at the front fender and runs down all the way to the rear tire. I was furious and thought someone sideswept my car as it was parked on the street. I checked our doorbell camera to see if it recorded anything and was surprised to see our 16-year-old daughter sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night and driving off in my car.
Uh-oh.
She later returned hours later, stumbling into the house. Outside of those 2 events, the doorbell camera didn't record anything else but a couple of passing cars that didn't come close to mine.
So we completely ignore the part about stumbling in, right? And I know what stumbling in means. You know what stumbling in means. It means you're drunk, right? You drove my car drunk, right? You drove my car drunk, and I'm worried about a dent. I know you got that dent. I know you got that dent.
I angrily showed my wife the recording and told her our daughter needs to be punished, but she said that she'll talk to her. I argued that talk isn't enough, which led us into an argument. My wife argued that my new family dynamic has been hard on the kids, while I argued that it doesn't excuse the damage done to my car. I wanted her to agree to ground our daughter from social media and make her get a job to pay for the damage. We argued for hours until she said, I don't get a say in any punishment because I'm not her father.
Uh-oh.
That ended the argument and I walked off. Since then, I've checked out of any parental duties. I've been an adult and still make sure the kids are safe and fed, but I haven't done anything a father would do. They had doctor's appointments last week for their checkups because they play sports in school and I refused to drive them, causing my wife to have to take off work. They start school next week and I've dropped them off ever since they moved in, but I told my wife she'll have to do it this year. She argued she can't because of her work schedule, and I answered a mother would figure it out.
Wow.
She called me a child and to grow up. I think since I'm not the father, I don't have to take on the responsibilities of one, but obviously she disagrees. Am I the asshole? Edit, I was angry when I wrote it, so I left out some info. My wife wants me to report it to my insurance as a hit and run. She said that way no one has to pay for it. I argue that I'll have to pay for it in the long run because they'll jack up my rates.
Yep.
I'm not ignoring the kids and still talk to them daily. I just don't do or make any parental decisions like I stated above. Also, the other day, our son asked me if he should play basketball or football, and I told him to go ask his mother.
Damn.
I mean, I kind of agree. I agree. Shit. All right. I know I'm on the right track if Jazz agrees with me, right? Yeah. No, I agree. I can't be sometimes dad, right? And I would have been more petty. Go ask your real dad. I mean, I'm already. I've got the divorce papers, ready, prepped. But I mean, yeah, go ask your real dad. But one of the things I said on a video that I recorded recently, when we end up doing these things, like, all right, they moved into your house, school district, all these great things, all these amazing things. A lot of that ends up being coming to the background. We forget how beneficial these things are. And it just becomes normal. When you end up not the 1st and the 15th of the month mean nothing to you. I mean, nothing. There's no significance between these for those days. That's because that person's taking care of the rent. That person's taking care of the mortgage. We don't worry about it. You don't know the who holds the loan. You don't know the mortgage lender. You don't know where you have insurance from. You don't know. That's because that is under his purview, what he does. But it's very easy for that to fall back and become something that's just in the background. You think it's nothing. You think it's unimportant. It's white noise. Trying to get to sleep, you just put it on. It helps drown things out. It's not important to you. It's important that it gets done, but you easily forget that. It stops being important. It stops mattering. He and that effort also go out the window. So you have here, he's like, listen, it's a weird scenario where I got to come and show you the video. Yo, look what Shorty did. Look what our daughter did. Our daughter did. And you're like, I'm going to talk to her. Don't worry about it. I'm talking to her. She's out here like, Mom, I was drunk, right? Mom, I was drunk. Yeah, I did that shit, right? To Blake's, to Robert's car. Did it, whatever. He's straight. He's good. Just tell him it's difficult for us. The transition is difficult, that you found a better man to be with than our dad, because our dad is not coming around. There's made no mention of this person. So just chalk it up to the game. He'll be all right. Yeah, I'll tell him to go and commit an insurance fraud and no one will have to pay for it, but with insurance. Nah. That shouldn't be how it works. It shouldn't be how it works. This is what like someone said earlier, this is what most men fear. This is their nightmare scenario. I think for us, and let me know in the chat. I think nightmare scenario is one, that kid wasn't yours and that kid is old now, right? You spent all this time pouring into a child that is not yours. That's probably nightmare scenario number one. Nightmare scenario number two, Godzilla's attacking the city and you're just a victim. That's probably number two. Number three is this scenario where I try to discipline you and you like, nah. Hey, you ain't the father. Word. Right. All the responsibility is your authority. Yeah. Kids in previous relationships. So there were two fathers out there. She had three kids. So maybe two, maybe three. Shit, maybe three and impossible, because sometimes you really don't know. You don't know how that shakes loose. So you took it full of, yeah. Reevaluate her life. I'm just glad this is one. It's not one of those scenarios where you just say, yo, but you signed up for this. I signed up with the idea that I'm going to be the father. You're living in my house. You're living under my jurisdiction. And this is how I issue out discipline. This is how I move and shake. Now, again, one of the biggest fears that men have is that I'm signing up in this family right now, this family that we have of 5. I'm signing up to be in position number 5. Yet I'm required to pay, to maintain, to guide, to lead, to protect. But that's a 5th position. I don't even get a piece of chicken because all the pieces are already carved up and given out. I get the broken wishbone of a turkey and Thanksgiving. I get, hey, we got some sides that we could throw together, but no meat and potatoes for you. You don't got the big comfy chair. You don't got the lazy boy chair they used to have in the early 90s. You don't got a man cave, right? You got a small corner somewhere where you can sit and think about life. That's your 5th position. And forget about it. You have a dog. Now you're number 6. And this is what young men are looking and saying, shit, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Especially sometimes when you get to compare what that actual dude's life was. What were the baby daddies like? If you are so diametrically different than the baby daddies, you need to have a real conversation of how you guys have arrived at this point. What it is about me that you see that is different, that makes you want to be with me. And if money or stability or you're not like them becomes the thing, be prepared for any type of disrespect like this when it comes down later on. It's going to show itself in different ways. Now you're the manipulative. Now you're the petty one. Here's a final truth, and then we're going to move on. If you're not ready to implode this entire relationship, then you just keep your mouth shut, because that's really the fix. Because right now the kids are going to have to suffer, but I'd rather rip that Band-Aid off and say, hey, this is what your mom thinks is cool, that this sort of behavior is cool. That's not how I grew up. That's not how anyone that's associated with me is going to be raised. So for that reason, your mom and I is divorcing. Good luck to you guys. If you need sort of guidance, of the free kind in the future, I might be available to listen. Otherwise than that, peace, love, detachment, love. I hope you guys, I wish you guys for the best. That's not what I'm doing.
Black men are the reason why black women are the least married.
They're the reason?
Yes.
I don't even understand the question. They are the reason why black women are not married.
Yeah. So it's an unpopular opinion.
Ain't that about black women then?
Black men are the reason why black women are the least married.
What is that, because black women don't want to marry people? I don't know. What are we saying?
We can't assist you here.
What do you mean you can't assist me? I don't understand the question.
It's an unpopular opinion.
Whose opinion is it?
An unpopular opinion. It's not our opinion.
You don't even look at you. The comments got you lot afraid like that already. Like, what's going on? The comments have got you lot worried.
It's not our opinion. It's an unpopular opinion.
An unpopular opinion that you lot just found out of the ether.
Literally.
Are you thirsty? Are you all right? Hydration's important.
All right. What are you thinking here? Is it black men's fault? In a roundabout way, yeah, right? I'd agree, even though he did the most inarticulate sort of dodge. When we look and say that we tend to be race loyal, right? And in the bare bones of the sense that in order to be married, that according to society, someone has to propose, and that's usually going to fall upon the man. So if black men are not proposing to black women, then yes, in that framework, in that weird sort of sense, then you're saying yes, it's a black man's fault. Just in that context. But we know there's probably more of a more nuanced conversation that should be extracted from that and saying there is a reason why they're not proposing. And part of that is, there's a personality sort of divide. There's a masculinity, femininity question. There is, more importantly, or probably primarily, an issue about how the divorce is incentivized. So you pick your choice of any of those reasons. I think black men not proposing is probably the least of the reasons, especially when it does happen and when it is happening. But time and time again, when you've had creators come on here, big creators, getting that following and saying, this is the reason why you're going to end up alone. This is the reason you can't curb this sort of bad attitude, this wayward sort of rebellious spirit of Eve. And you lean into that. Society tends to reward you early on, very early on, tends to reward you and say, yeah, you don't need him. You don't need anything. You got it on your own. You're perfect the way you are. So when you hit your 30s and 40s and you're not marriage material, when we look, all right, we're keeping it specifically the black community as this example, when 80% of us are overweight and men are saying, I want something physically attractive. Not saying that there's not a group of men that find that attractive, and that's that, but that's not the majority. Then there's attitude, and there's the combativeness. And men are saying, hey, I kind of don't want that. It's not wrong to say they don't want that. If they're going to sign up and say, I'm going to be the leader, I'm going to provide, I'm going to protect, I'm going to do all the things, or I'm simply just going to merge my life with yours on an equal playing field, I still get a say in saying, this is kind of what I want to do. So, yes, it's very easy on the surface to say, unpopular opinion. The reason black women aren't getting married is because these black men are not proposing. An easy follow-up is saying, well, why aren't they proposing? But that becomes, right, a very uncomfortable conversation where you're sort of required to look inwardly or look across the aisle at your fellow black woman and saying, yeah, why aren't you better than you are? Those of you that take care of yourself, that are well-read, that are well-traveled, that understand that you have to care about your physical appearance, you all have fat friends. You all have fat friends that you don't talk to on a basis and say, if you were in better shape, you get better retention from men, you get a better caliber of men. You guys don't have that conversation. You just say, I support you. This is, again, Sunday stream about being a girl's girl. This is sort of the detriment. This is sort of the fallout. When you don't criticize or you don't critique for the better, say, yeah, you should probably work on that. All right? Blair and I, we've got a standing pact. One of them gets too fat. You got to go and take care of the person. Take care, I mean like the mafia take care. Right? Standing pack. We had this for quite a while. You get some bounds, you get some leeway, but if you start waddling, you might see the other person in the dark and comes and says, "Hey, yeah, it's time." Right? It's time. You were warned. We let you know. What are you doing? What are you doing? These are outside the bounds. It's not the pact. That's not how we agreed. That's not how we're supposed to do things. Men, we do that with each other. I do that with my friends here. They, okay, see you looking slimmer. What are you doing? Trying to encourage. I say, hey, I see what you're doing. Keep going. Right? Or say, hey, what's going on with blah, blah, blah. Because I want you to live longer. I want you to have better outcomes. I don't want to have conversations where I have to justify or believe or lean into your delusion and why you've decided that your weight is not a problem. That I'm sexy like this. That men love the curves. Men love me thick. I don't want to have that conversation. Right? Because I know it's bullshit. I know you're lying to yourself, and I don't want to be part of that. When you do stuff like that. So yeah, on one hand, on the most surface, bare to surface, I agree with what she's saying. But we all know it's horse-ish, right? So listen, the next one, I think we're all gonna be on the same page here. We're all gonna be on the same page. In fact, if you are not, I'm gonna ask you to unsubscribe to the channel. That's how serious this is. If you don't agree with what she's saying, just to get ahead, or you don't disagree with what she's saying, get in and unsubscribe. Right? That's going to be the challenge.
Your thoughts on a guy that's 35 plus, 40 plus with no kids, never been married?
I would rather date a man with 10 kids.
You would rather date a man with 10 kids than a guy with no kids?
Yes, like 5 kids with one woman and then 2. Yes, I would. Yes, I would rather date a guy with maybe not 10, maybe 7.
Would you rather date a guy, his first kid?
No.
First, his kid is 3 and he's 48. He has 1 kid and his kid is 3.
Selfish. How you wait till 48 to have a kid and you're very selfish? No, I'm not. Selfish and frugal. No. Oh, 48, 1 kid, 3-year-old. You're selfish. No, I'm not dating you. They should have some grandkids by then. You're having like 5 kids and like 5 baby mamas, or 5 kids, 4 baby mamas. Only one of them bitches gave you a second chance. No, I'm not dating a man with
45 years old.
No, I'm not.
He's 45.
He got 5 kids. 5 kids and 5 baby mamas. You make fucked up decisions. Nobody gave you a second chance.
All right, what if he's 48 with his first kid?
No.
But selfish.
He just selfish. He may be selfish with. He's selfish. I'm guaranteed 48 on his first kid. Selfish.
Man, I love the internet. I love the internet. Right? I love that they gave you a front-facing camera and they said, "Go, and you went. You did not disappoint. You did not disappoint. You started spouting nonsense, and my conjecture is very simple. That you are trying to normalize your bad behavior, your bad ideas, your bad thoughts, the bad way you decided about your life. You don't want to deal with those consequences. So I'll make it seem like everything else is terrible. Everything else is bad. You want to call men that decided, hey, I don't want to do this, or I want to do this in this sort of context, in this sort of way. And sometimes that just means it's going to take some time. I'm going to need time to find the person I'm supposed to be with. I'm going to need time to vet this person. And in that time of vetting, you may come across and realize, oh shit, she wasn't the right one. But that's normal. That's normal behavior. It's not supposed to be easy when you're trying to find someone to mesh your life with. Take your world and crash your world in someone else's world and somehow have a cohesive thing at the end of it. It's madness when you think about it in that sense. But that's what we're trying to do with relationship. So because I took my time, I'm taking my time, and I don't have babies all across the United States, you don't want to date me? Because you interpret this as somehow of me being selfish, me being frugal? Fine. Be selfish. Men, be selfish with your seed, your time, your resources, your thoughts, all that. Every little penny that is now out of print. Think about these things and say, yo, it's not for me. Right? That's not what I want to do. It's not how I'm supposed to move. Okay, Chris Brown again hit in the head. Yeah. Yeah, we're in a wicked head. Yo, that's a fair statement. But listen, if you and I want to hold to that. I want to be fair. I want to hold to that. If you agree with her, right? If you rather date a man with 10 kids than a man with none, go ahead and unsubscribe. Just go ahead. Let me know on your way out. So I'd be like, damn, you were kind of wild for that, right? You were kind of wild for that. She wants to specifically fear man so she can feel better about him. Yes. Do we have time for that? Do we have time for a little bit of that conversation? Right? I'm asking like I'm not the one in charge of the stream. I think we got a little time for that. All right. Let's cue the music. All right. Let's get serious. Dropping the glasses. I think a lot of times what we see when women get with men and they complain about them, and they say, hey, yo, this N-word ain't ish, right? It's a family channel, right? Just in case my mom pays attention to my aunt in Cali, one of her many kids. You get with a man and then you get to complain that he is in ish. He stays at your place. When you get mad at him, you put him on a couch. He doesn't have a job, but he has his PS5 there. Right? Playing GTA, playing Madden, playing NBA, maybe playing Spider-Man. Immersive enough game. Got time. He borrows your car. He drops you off to work. He forgets to pick you up in a timely fashion. When you do get your car, it's rattling, it's rolling. The tires are bald. Gas tank is empty. You know you're better than this man. You know you're better than him. And it's safe because you're better than him. Because if you excise him from your life at any given time, what do you lose? You can find another man just like him. In fact, it makes your position better. It solidifies your position. It says, yo, look at you. Look at the things you've done in your life. You have made it. You are her. The conversation becomes a little different when that man is demonstrably better than you. What you say you actually want. You want a man doing better than you. You want a man that's competent, in shape, 6 feet tall, got the money, got the six pack. He's got the third leg, got the third leg. You want all these things. But when you have an opportunity where you're confronted with it, when you have a chance to say, I'm going to play in one market versus I'm going to play in another. You want the bonds. You want the safe bet. The safe bet is the bum. You don't want to options trade because that gets scary. You can lose your shirt. You're not well versed. You don't know what any of these means, but you know there's a chance to make it big or to bust. And to bust means you actually got confronted by the reality that this man is better than me. This man is more disciplined than me. This man is more honest than me. This man is, he goes through the world in a way in which I could only dream of. And that doesn't feel good when we've all met people that when we talk with them, when we looked how they were living and said, it's so righteous, it bothers me. It's so good. There's such a force for good. It bothers me. Maybe just me. Maybe it's me and my own black heart. But when you get confronted with people that are doing forces for good, where we're doing something that you say, that is incredible, that is amazing. Whenever I go and listen to someone playing music live, I'm blown away by the talent. It makes me look at myself and say, you need to work harder. You need to double down. And for those that know me IRL and know the schedule I keep, I don't have room to double down. I'm always looking for areas to be a little bit more efficient, to eke out a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But there's a such thing as, yo, you ran out of time. You ran out of space. You ran out of levels to increase. You're going to have to drop something entirely. But I just get motivated. That's what being around someone that is better than you is supposed to invigorate you. But in truth, you don't do that. You get with bums. And there's no shortage of bums. There's no shortage of bums. And that's fine. I'm not going to tell you not to be with this bum. Right? I'm not going to tell you not to be with this bum. I'm just going to tell you when you are with that bum, compare him to yourself and other bums. Don't say black men, blah, 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 blah. All you black men, blah, blah, blah. No. He and I are different species. Right? What did Apocalypse say? Right? I forgot who he was talking to. He's like, yo, and he's talking some mutant, right? He was like, I am beyond you, as far beyond you as you are beyond regular humans. You can transform, you have all this mutant ability, and you're so much better than humans. You're so much more unique, powerful. That's how far beyond you I am. That's what it is. That's what it is when you look at these regular men and you look at us. Yeah, well, that's how far we are. But it hurts to say that. Right? It doesn't feel good to say that. But when you compare us to them, it's an insult. When I see stuff where women come online, like the one screaming her face off, they're all vampires. I don't want to be a vampire. I'm not a vampire. I'm Blade, right? Specifically from the first Blade, right? It's cool. Sanaa Lathan's mom, but she had that weird sexual energy in that scene, right? Whatever. Put that aside. We don't want to be compared to them. We've worked hard not to be them. Being like that is the absence of work. It's the absence of effort. This is what you choose to lay up within you. To let him put himself, to watch him as he thrusts on top of you. You decided that. And then you get pregnant, or you dodge a pregnancy, or your car is missing for hours, or you're still blowing up his phone trying to see what chick he's with. And then you look and say, it's the rest, it's you men are like this. No. We look at that, we don't understand that, we say we leave that alone, right? They workers, yeah. Yeah. Those are those older bums. Those are not us. Those are not us. And every day, at the end of the day, I have to do a cleansing ritual and say, because all the stuff I sift through and have these reaction videos to, and try to suss out this idea, this theme in which we can improve ourselves on. That's what men of calibers do. That's what the X-Men blue team does. They go in there, hit the danger room. Xavier says, y'all got to practice. You looking sloppy, right? Gambit. One of those cards you threw didn't hit like it was supposed to hit. You were staring at Rogue. Jubilee. I don't know why you're here, but throw the fireworks, right? Dope. Storm, continue being great. You got it. Cyclops, leave Jean alone for a little bit. You might be all right. Wolverine, leave Jean alone. You might be all right for a little bit. Also lay off Cyclops. Please keep doing your thing. But you all practice. You all put in the work. Morph, if you're in this rendition, hey, shout out to you. But you all put in the work. You all do the work. That's why when it comes down to you engaging with someone else, some other scenario, you already got the answer. You're better. You're better. This is what the rest of us do. We're employed. The price of eggs is not scary. It sucks, but it's not scary. We're worrying about different things. Blair and I were talking this morning. We're talking about, 401ks and moving money about. These are conversations I tend to have on a regular, not about, is that Offset's baby? Huh? Huh? I called Blair early this morning, right? Shout out to Blair, my boy. And we're talking, I want to get his take on Ashley Jenae. You know what he said? Who? I said the same thing. Yeah, I didn't know about her. And we had to go and get educated and ask these poignant questions. But what we're talking about on a different level. We're not like these guys that are well-versed in every little bit of celebrity gossip. I can't quote stats to you from some rookie, some game. I'm not betting on college. I'm not doing these things. I'm sitting here and most of my time is boring because you see me trying to perfect a craft, not perfect how fast I can do donuts in your balding tires. With your Ultima, with the, again, no hate towards Ultimas. Hey, no hate towards Ultimas. But this is a car of choice. And I'm borrowing it. I'm on the block. Don't say stuff like that, right? Outside of it saying ironically. So when you compare us, we're not the same. We're just not. And if that's your cup of tea, that's your cup of tea. That's fine. Keep it there. The rest of us over here, we're saying, yeah, we're drinking whiskey. You're talking about tea. You're talking about tea with Kool-Aid in it. We're like, we don't kind of move like that. We don't really understand that. No dig, no shame, but keep those conversations where they belong with those groups, with those people. It's insulting when you try to bring us into that and loop us and say, all you black men move like this. All you black men think like this. This is why we have trouble kind of just dealing with you. This is why we say we're kind of just tired and we're fine existing by ourselves and saying, hey, I apologize for the ultimate slander before I continue with the slander, right? Give me a whole break. Listen, we're moving on. Let's talk about it. All right, here we go. Main event. And listen, for those of you that don't know, one of the new things we're going to try to do is we're gonna take a lot of these live streams that we've created and we're gonna loop them together. They're gonna be sequential, boom, 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 and we're gonna try to create like a 24-hour stream so people can, those people that don't make it here, not you guys, shout out to you guys, appreciate you guys. You guys tune in and you will have that play. The only limiting factor is myself that constantly comes in and checks and see how it's doing and if people are actually turning in to look at it. Because despite the amount of work we're doing here, we haven't cracked the YouTube algorithm, understanding what pushes a video, what motivates people to come and check in lives and such. Especially when I go and I look at a lot of other people's lives and I see what type of content they're giving out there, and it's usually them sometimes in a tinfoil hat, sometimes sleeping and just talking, and then there'll be like 157 people in there. Like, So right now, we try to put on a production because this is what we've just identified exactly what I'm doing wrong, right? I'm trying to create a product that I would enjoy, that I would sit there and set my phone down and say, let that rock, let that play. I would like to sit here in the audience and watch this production as we go from this to this to this, as we have transitions, sound effects, music here and there. I would like that. But I think I'm out of line. I'm out of touch. And the general populace of YouTube, I don't want that. But we're trying to bend the will of YouTube and say, oh, man, that's kind of cool. Let's check this out for a little bit. That being said, we're going to talk about the main event, Ashley Jenae. Ashley Jenae. And I always try to create for the main event a little backstory, a little understanding, because just in case my sister's here and she's clueless about, I don't know about stuff. I'm not clued into what's going on, this person. So in the case of the off chance my siblings just jump in here at some point in time, we're just going to give the backstory. And of course, for the rest of us that actually don't know, what's going on, we'll give a recap and then we'll talk about some of the reactions.
My daughter, Ashley, she's no longer here with us, and we're trying to find out why.
On April 5th, influencer Ashley Robinson, who goes by Ashley Jenae on Instagram, was celebrating her 31st birthday in Zanzibar, Tanzania. She was on the vacation with her boyfriend of 1 year, who popped the question just 2 days before.
She was starting the next chapter of her life. She called us and FaceTimed us to share with us her travel.
Ashley's mother says
they had that line there also. So yeah, this is a very picturesque, photographic sort of thing. She's an influencer, so this is part of the package, part of the deal.
She never would have expected that less than a week later, her daughter would be dead. On April 8th, she says Ashley called saying she and her fiance got into an argument and were moved to separate rooms. The next day, she received another call, this time from her fiance.
He told me that Ashley did something to herself and that she was being taken to the hospital. I said, what happened, when? And he told me it had been 11 hours prior.
Hours later, the luxury resort the couple was staying at.
Follow that. Something happened to my fiance, my new fiance, and I'm calling you, right? Potential mother-in-law, 11 hours later. Hey man, by the way, something happened to your daughter. Again, this is not to say that this is where the fault lies, but I think we would be remiss not to at least comment on some of this.
Called saying that Ashley passed away. According to the hospital's medical report, Ashley had an unidentified mark around her neck. They wrote, according to her husband, he found she hung herself on the door. with several question marks.
So even the examiner is looking like, yo, he said what? Hold up, right? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah, Daryl, yeah, he definitely lying. Definitely lying. We're not forensic examiners, right? We're not Horatio. It's not CSI Miami. What if you hung yourself? You hung yourself. There's supposed to be breakages. There's supposed to be fractures, right? It's a violent thing. It's not, and off the door. I don't know how tall, how short she was. I don't know what doors that were giant-esque. I don't know the mechanism of what was used, but a lot of the framing doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I think it's fair to say it doesn't make sense. I'm leaving this on. I'm not going full screen, so you guys can, if you guys can see it on your phone, you can just take a look for yourself with some of the stuff that's being said. That it doesn't really make sense. And again, I think it's a fair thing to say. It doesn't make sense. If you were in that position where you were sort of hung, right? It's a violent procedure, not an easy thing that happens. When he said, and he called the mom, he didn't mention anything about being hung. He said, something happened. She did something herself. But you're going and telling, the Tanzanian authorities, like, nah, she hung herself, man. Or that's the setup. One of the things we alluded to early on in the stream was that if you're going to kill someone, right? And we didn't allude to this, but we're saying that the differences in how the world works. Say you do something like this in New York or any type of large metropolitan city. You've got local cops. You got AKA city cops. Maybe depending where you are in the South, maybe you have sheriffs. Maybe you have something like that, constable. And they realize this thing is bigger than me. This thing is bigger than the game, so they can kick it up to state. State has more resources, generally speaking, has a bigger budget, has better access to some of these things. Obviously, this is wrong if you're in New York City because NYPD is the greatest, is the best. But there's some things that you say, I'm going to kick it up. State can't handle it. State kicks up the federal. We don't know what's going on in Tanzania. We don't know the situation. We don't know the sitch. We don't know how things are playing out. So for all of you out there that are wondering, when am I going to do wrong by someone, in another country probably works. Now, this is an uncomfortable part of the conversation that we should just sort of address. Kind of how Black people move. Right? Black people get really, domestic violence, stuff like that. These convoluted sort of stuff. It's a race specific one, but the fact is, this needs to be investigated, regardless of how you feel about the woman and her comments. And we'll get to that in a second. This is a suspicious thing that we should get together and say, well, it's suspicious.
Sometime Jill went back to the room with security, and that's how they found her.
Ashley was also taken to a second hospital who listed her cause of death as cerebral hypoxia by strangulation and suffocation.
She's never done anything that would ever lead me to believe that she would do something to harm herself.
And the family says next they are considering going to Zanzibar themselves to try to get as many answers as possible. Now, we also tried to directly contact Ashley's fiance, the resort, and the embassy, but we did not hear back. I'm live in the Satellite Center. Cheyenne Curran, Channel 6, Action News. Back to you.
Yeah, heartbreaking for the family and unfolding halfway around the world. Thank you, Cheyenne.
I'm ducking calls too. And look, I ain't talking to none of y'all, right? Talking to none of y'all. Action News, not click. In fact, I'm trying to leave Zanzibar, and I think right now, I think he's being held for questioning, as he should, and not because we think he was guilty. We're just saying that if something happened with a person you were with, you were the last sort of known person with her, you should be questioned. Again, we all learned this for First 48. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to question them. Right? Law and order, right? You got to question these people. Now we want to talk about some of the reactions, right? Some of the reactions, I think that it's a fair thing to go into. We're not trying to denigrate. We're not trying to say you deserve this or whatever. But there's a cause and effect. Right? And I think that's a fair thing to
All
say.
the black spouses in these pictures are dead. All the white spouses alive. Telvin Osborne said he would rather F a dog than F a black woman, but the dog gotta be white. Christian Obumsumi, whatever his last name is, did nothing but fetish over white women and degrade black men and black women. And Ashley Jenae said ever since she was in the 3rd grade, she's been wanting to have mixed babies, and the black men wake up every day and embarrass black women. If you gonna date outside of your race, you are entitled to. But if you gonna disgrace your own people, delete it right now. Because the moment you get out of here, boy, they gonna find it, boy. And they gonna disrespect you. The type of person that disrespects their own race, uplift another, is the worst type of person to me. But rest in peace to everybody involved.
So listen, I kind of agree with that. If you're going to date outside your race, and that you're entitled to that, you should be allowed to do that. No one should come and tell you that you're wrong for that. But denigrating and making fun of, and making light of, or poking fun, or just being a straight up a-hole towards black people, okay. Understand that if something does happen to you, they're probably not going to be sympathetic towards your plight. Should we now understand this and say, well, let me rise up, right? Because I think that's really right now is what's being asked of black men, that, hey, you may not like it, you may not agree with this, but this black woman was killed. You need to set that aside. But it's not as if black men don't have their own long memories and understand that that's not really, what was good for the goose should also be good for the gander, because like he mentioned, and one of the first people he mentioned, he was talking about how, I'd rather date a dog first, but the dog got to be white. One of those things was like, and it was a very clever tweet. It was like, someone said, rest in your preference. You guys get cold when it comes down to the men. When it's a black man, it's what he's got to say.
Remember when this happened and black women across the internet all agreed that rest in preference was their new phrase? They all thought it was funny that Telvin Osborne lost his life at the hands of a white woman. And they thought it was funny because Telvin was a widely known swirler, essentially, for lack of a better phrase. He openly showed his disdain for dating black women and said that they would not be his first, second, or last choice. So it made sense that they felt how they felt, completely. A man who disrespects you any chance he get while in a relationship with a woman, a white woman, it was on brand for them to be upset. Me personally, I thought it was justified to a degree. Fast forward to the Ashley Jenae situation. Exact same circumstances, just switch the genders. This time it's a woman who openly discusses her disdain for dating black men and how she wouldn't date them, and while she has a white partner. And as we fast forward, we see that the response are violently different. For whatever reason, black men are not allowed to feel disrespected about a woman who disrespected them. And for whatever reason, black men are expected to have some type of respectability politics concerning a woman who constantly slandered them on the internet and had a fetishization for having mixed children. Knowing that if this was a black man in this situation, the response would be totally different. The same one that Telvin Osborne got. He would be giving rest and preference tweets, and nobody would bat an eye. Nobody would have an issue. But now that it's a woman, the sympathy and empathy has to be implemented. Context has to be implemented. Has anybody ever asked, Telvin Osborne how black women treated him for him to feel that way? They don't care. And it's okay, because it is what it is. But I just like to point out the hypocrisy in a lot of these situations. So in closing, no, of course Ashley Jenae did not deserve to lose her life. But if you cannot see the hypocrisy in this situation, then you're probably not ready to actually be a community, because the men in your community have feelings too. And you can't cherry pick scenarios and obviously jaded stats in order to push an agenda. You're not bringing anybody together by participating in hatred. Rest in peace to Ashley Jenae, and hopefully one day we can rest in peace to politics around interracial relationships.
He said it perfectly. What are we supposed to do here? Right? When it's not as if we personally need long memories. We personally don't need to take the time to understand or to remember these things on our own. The internet does it for us. Internet's going to let us know, hey, she was talking kind of wild. A bunch of y'all were talking kind of wild. When it happened to this brother, what happened? Yeah, he said the same things. He said vitriolic things. And you roasted him for it. And we sat back and said, okay, that's the playbook. Thank you. Okay. Now, your turn. It happens to one of you. And now, internet's like, no, that's wrong. Black man, you're wrong for that. Why can't you see how wrong you were? Why don't we understand that hypocrisy? What do we do now? Because the more times we have these examples, the more time these things happen, the easier it gets for people just to say, I'm kind of tired, man. I'm kind of tired. Kind of tired. You get to dictate how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to move whenever things occur, whenever there's sort of injustice or preference. You get to tell us what is okay, what is not okay. And then we say, all right, got it. Check. Covered. I understand what the rules of the game are now. When I pass go, I get 200. I get it now. Right? When we're playing Uno, are we stacking or not? You tell me we're stacking. Got it. When it's my turn to lay down, right, the draw twos, the multicolored draw twos on the top of the draw four, right? Now you look at me and say, you can't do that. It's wrong that you can't do that. It's wrong that you're doing it. What do we do now? We can have a more nuanced conversation and understand, hey, listen, this sucks. It's unfortunate. Very, very much likely, maybe he did it. But the fact that it was a white man that did it, it's just terrible. Let's leave that conversation and let's just look at it like that. And we're going to look and say, did you leave it like that last time? When Auburn Seller was stabbed by, there's the OF a creator model. We didn't leave it at that. You got to walk. You get to talk about how bad, how evil, all this. You got to say your point. You got to go in. Okay, it's fair. We'll allow that. We'll accept that. That's how it is. That's the game. Okay. Now one of your own takes the L. And we're just making the assumption that it was this man that did it. Why can't, black men do the same thing and say, I don't know how you got it going. Now it's a problem because now it pulls us apart. One of the things that is very bothersome that I've been sort of circling and thinking about, and maybe I'll just make a dedicated video for that after this, or do a post live stream sort of thoughts. Why are we so keen on allowing it to making it seem as if it's all reactory? Like women get to simply react to bad things. I'm like this, or I said this because you did this first. I never would have done that if you didn't do this. I mean, ultimately what it comes down is this misappropriation and misunderstanding of accountability. When you can go out and say, yeah, man, I was wrong about that. And pivot immediately. Hey, you were right. I was wrong about that. Thank you for pointing it out. I can try to implement some of those changes now. That's a superpower worthy about being on the X-Men. Maybe not the blue team, but certainly gold team. X-Force for sure. There's no problem. We all know you're there. The ability to say, yeah, I was wrong. You're right. I'm going to do better. It's so rare now. So impossible that we just end up drawing lines in the sand, and then it'll just be to the next time this happens to a next person, and we're going to go back and say, hey, see? And it's not just her. We've seen countless examples of, and very recently there was another man who got on TV and said, my wife is missing. My white wife is missing. And how many people within seconds on TikTok stitched the video and said, this nigga did it. 100%. 100%. They focused on him because that was the temperature. That was what people thought. That's what people believed. And then what happened? They got her on video crossing a bridge. Oh, yeah, she killed herself. Even afterwards, you had people still saying, no, he did it. No, he did it. It doesn't matter what the law says. It doesn't matter what the evidence says. I know he did it. So it's no wonder why men see this and say, yo, I'm good. I'm good. Do what you want. Do what you want. When I see stuff, I'm going to call it out, and you cannot shame me into me saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to curb this behavior. No. You don't like that people in the comments celebrating that this thing happened to her? I don't like it either. But you can't tell me that these people don't feel like there's a reason why they're doing it. There's a reason why it's justified. There's a reason why it has a place. Until we kind of get right and get on a unified page and say, hey, this is wrong. Doesn't matter the circumstances behind it. Doesn't matter, period. Doesn't matter it came from a black man, black woman. Doesn't matter if it came with someone that decided they want to date interracially. This is wrong. Until we go back and become a united front, like Kanye likes to say, I don't want to say, but you know who I'm talking about. Until we start moving like that and say, hey, we're a group, we're a unified thing. You don't have to be here. But if you decide to leave, cool, keep your mouth shut. You don't get to be part of the barbecue and go reveal the secrets of the seasoning later on. No, that's classified work. You shouldn't just go out and say that. You shouldn't on your way out say, you know what? I never even liked the barbecue. I never even liked the vibes here. Y'all ain't shit. No. What do we always say on this channel? We'll end with this. Detach with love. On your way out, you want to date someone else, you want mixed kids, cool. Are you going to get better opportunities for that by shitting on black men? And I understand that it's in vogue, it's popular to do that right now, so you can't seem to help yourself but to make more and more content where you just shitting on men. Fine. Understand that men are looking at that and saying, I'm so tired of it. I'm literally exhausted from it. Like exhaustion was a superpower. I'm exhausted from it. There's no end to it. Even people that look like you would never really have problems in the dating market, you're saying stuff like this. And then even people that saying, I don't even believe you ever participated in the dating market. You're all saying the same thing. This happened, and this is why all these men ain't ish. Cool. 60% of the young men are out of just saying, I'm done with dating. How much higher that has to get? Does that have to get? When they purport how many women are going to be single and childless, and that's a growing number. How many women are going to be single and childless? If none of those numbers mean anything to you, okay, cool, fine, deal with it. But the more we come over here and we denigrate, we bash, we scream into the camera about how awful these people are, all it does is build a fatigue. When people get fatigued, they get indifferent. When they're indifferent, they look at you and they look at your struggle as you try to do this, and navigate through the subway with a car seat, with a child in a stroller. When you struggle to lift some things you bought from Home Depot into your truck. When you're on the side of the road, stranded, the fatigue says, leave her alone. And not think about it later on. Not, hey, the fatigue says, this is what she prefers. The fatigue says she probably got someone that could help her, and it's not going to be me. It may be a female. That's what the fatigue does. It becomes this impermeable barrier that keeps us separated. But it's not men that are going to come out and say, let me work my way through this barrier. They're going to say, this barrier is here to protect me just as much as to protect you. Because you decided you want to choose the bear. But I know how dangerous that bear is. I'm going to give that bear space. Part of that space is keeping you and the bear together. I know the bear wouldn't have strung her up in hunger. It would have definitely killed her, though. This is my opinion. Like most times, don't agree, that's fine. Let me know down in the comments for the replay gang if you're watching this, or for the ultra replay gang when we attach this to the longer streams. Those of you that show up again and again and again and again, shout out to you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys make this all worthwhile. I love seeing you guys chatting in the chat. So if you are new here, you're catching this, like the stream, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. Oh, we got a lot more cooking. We got a lot more to do. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next one.